Welcome back. I'm Jamie. I'm here with my co-host Gabe. We are the Menschwarmers. Gabe, how you doing, buddy?
You know, it's the new year, new me. I've never felt as enthusiastic and alive as I do today on this dark January evening.
Is that true? I think we're approaching like one of the day where I think like there's like the most mental health crisis.
Yeah, the Blue Monday.
Like
that was
like
last Monday.
Blue Monday, right?
That was last
Monday. Okay, so we're good. We're all
through.
good.
Yeah, nowhere to go but up. Society.
I left my office the other day, like right at the crack of 4:58, and like it was still slightly sunny out, and it was great. Like I was very excited to like, like I haven't emerged into darkness. So that's good. We are coming on to spring and summer, and I'm excited about the summer because it's going to be an Olympic summer.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for February because it's a leap year February, which means we're all working an extra day for free.
But we can all watch the 30 Rock Leap Day episode. That's Dave
true.
Williams.
Leap Day Williams. But leap years mean Olympic years, and I am excited for the summer because it's going to be an Olympic summer filled with Jewish athletes who we will no doubt be talking to and profiling, and I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. Has AJ Edelman taken up a summer sport yet?
He's very active in the posting online about Israel. Good Instagram follow.
I agree, but if you're telling me you know a Jewish person that's been active in posting online in the last 3 months,
fair point.
That's shocking.
He's really made a brand for himself with that. But that's of course AJ Edelman, who's Olympic skeleton racer and bobsledder, and hopefully going to make the Olympics and bobsled for Israel in 2026. We spoke to him last summer.
Mm-hmm.
But I am excited about the Olympics, and I'm sure we'll have lots to talk about that. Before then, obviously, we have lots to get to with all kinds of sports that are going on now. So we wanted to, this is a nice here's the news in
an amuse bouche
type podcast
for the year.
Yeah. No guest today,
or I guess
wanted to talk about some stuff that's starting.
If it's Hebrew, it would be an amuse peh.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, something like that. One thing I want to talk about off the top was the something that we talked about a year ago. We had golf writer, Barstool Sports contributor Dan Rappaport on the show, and we talked about the rise of Jewish golfers. And one of the guys we talked about,
his namesake,
didn't play in 2023. Yeah, Daniel Berger. Daniel Berger had a back injury. I don't know if it started at the U.S. Open in 2022, but that's like June 2022. But that was the last tournament he played. Until 2 weeks ago when he came back for the American Express Open. He made the cut. He came in 39th. Incredibly respectful showing.
Absolutely.
For his first tournament in almost 2 years. He played in the Farmers. He had a decent, it was Wednesday, Thursday. So he had a decent Wednesday, but he had a pretty bad Thursday. So he didn't make the cut in that event. And I think because of the rankings, he's not going to be playing in this week's event.
Which is bizarre. He's won this tournament before, but it no longer means you can come back.
Because it's only right now at the top.
It's the top 50 and 30 other qualifiers for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. So for whatever reason, he's not involved. I mean, again, he missed more than a year of play time.
Mm-hmm.
His ranking right now is a nice Jewish number, 613.
Ooh,
and
wow!
I'm sure it's going to go up.
It's a mitzvah for him to play golf anytime.
But this is a guy, it's exciting to see him back. I mean, who knows what 2024 will look like in terms of getting back into playing shape. I haven't really seen anyone talking to him yet about what how his back is doing and all that. Golfers are so I don't say touchy or whatever in terms of their injuries, but it's just like you can have a minor injury that develops and grows. It's such a specific movement that it's like one thing can end your career. So
yeah,
I'm hoping that's
absolutely.
Not the case for him. I don't think it is.
I mean, it's extremely. For him to come back in the first place is nothing short of excellent.
Exactly,
and I think we're sort of happy to show it, happy to support him, and be happy for him.
So excited to as the golf calendar starts. I think probably March is when casual golf fans start thinking about golf. I'm like I would say like I'm like a golf lunatic now by like paying attention to things in January. In no small part due to participating in fantasy golf, which again is like
fantasy
like
golf.
If someone's like
that's hardcore.
It's a bit of a lunatic thing. I agree, but regardless, I think maybe a month from now is when people start thinking about golf. And seeing Dan Berger and Max Homa at the Masters, I think is going to be the real
Absolutely.
this year. I still hoping for Max's first major win.
I think this year there's at least 4 Jewish golfers on the PGA Tour. We've got Max.
Well, I don't know if
Berger.
David Lipsky has a full card.
I think he does.
He might this year. And Ben Silverman, who won a Korn Ferry too, he does, because I don't know if it's just because he qualified due to being high enough in the Korn Ferry Tour this year. But he's certainly been in.
Silverman has a full card for sure.
Yeah, he's
Silverman
a full card.
does. But there's also, our friends at the Jewish Telegraphic Agency discussed whether or not I think it was Austin Smotherman was Jewish, and we're iffy on that one.
Okay,
but they said they think he is, and he's also sort of on the bubble of tour. But we've got 4 so far. At a full field event, you'd see 4 Jewish guys. And there's some other Jewish golfers we'll be talking about later, as they come up the golf ranks. But moving on from golf, big weekend here in Toronto this weekend. You take all of the bad news coming out this week about hockey in Canada and flip that on its axis, and you've got the NHL All-Star Game.
Appearing, it is this weekend in Toronto.
This weekend in Toronto. There is, I don't know if it's an official record, but I'm going to say it's probably a record where we've got 3, maybe 4 Jews in the game, depending on who, where you think some people go.
Okay.
But
so tell us who's in the All-Star Game this year is Jewish.
So we've got 2 of the 3 Hughes brothers. Quinn Hughes is the captain of one of the All-Star teams.
Oh, wow.
And then on it, so it's sort of like this weird, it is no longer East versus West. It used to be East versus West, and for a while it was North America versus the world. That was my favorite version of it, because that was always awesome seeing.
Yeah, that was fun. I agree.
But now you've got, basically they have one captain from each division. So you've got Austin Matthews in the Northeast, or I guess it's called the Atlantic. Quinn Hughes in the Pacific, and so on and so forth. And then from that, they just draft. There is a draft that each team gets one draft. However, they've already assigned the Hughes brothers together on the same team.
That's fine.
Which would be 2, Jews together.
Yep.
Already. So there was next, he's not playing due to injury, but we had named Artemi Panarin, who some people believe is Jewish.
Right. Yeah.
He's definitely got Jewish heritage. Whether or not he was raised or practiced Jewish, that's separate. And then lastly, we've got sort of recently believed to be Jewish Boston Bruins goalie Jeremy Swayman.
Oh, I thought we were out on him. I thought we didn't know.
He's been brought back. It's been recently reported he is Jewish. Although personally, that's said, depends where you come on this. You and I have not been able to confirm it. But it has been recently reported that he is Jewish.
Any Toronto hockey media people covering the All-Star Game, if you want to go ask a guy hanging out at the All-Star Game this week if he's Jewish. If you see Jeremy Swayman, just go ask him if he's Jewish. It'll be fine.
If Jeremy Swayman's cap friendly, still believes he was Jewish. There's lots of people who say, is Jeremy Swayman, according to the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, again, Jeremy Swayman is listed as a Jewish goalie, but we have not been able to find, our independent evidence.
Well, unfortunately, the All-Star Game will not include hometown hero Zach Hyman, who is having his best year ever. I mean, he has 30 goals in 44 games.
He could easily get to 50 insane. For the season. His 2 line mates are both going to be there. Obviously,
and his team has rattled off 16 wins in a row, which he has been no small part of.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
He just missed out on the fan vote.
Yeah,
like he was very close,
very, very, very close. And the coaches' vote, he just missed out on too. But it was very close.
Would have been a nice homecoming for him.
That's true.
I don't know if you don't make an All-Star Game as a hockey player, what do you do? Do you peace out to the Caribbean for 4 days?
You get the week off.
You get the week off. Like no one's. Is it faux pas to like show up in Toronto anyways and just be like, I'm just here for the hang. Like, where are we going?
No, I bet you there are guys who go to the parties. Like if you're, BioSteel and Connor McDavid is too busy to go to your BioSteel event, the All-Star Game. Like, you get a guy who's in town. You know, somebody's
I like
coming.
to think of I like the idea of like fourth linemen just going to support their buddies, like having a difficult time getting a ticket to the All-Star Game itself.
Yeah.
And like having to like speak to the guy who drives the Zamboni at Scotiabank Arena.
Well,
like, you know me, like we're good. Like I remember I played with your kid on the Marlies or whatever, like trying to get in.
Yeah, trying to get in.
A funny idea.
There's
although genuinely I'm sure they could do it. I'm sure it's not a problem.
So I mean, there's a couple of Mike Jacobs All-Stars who are also coming in. People we get asked a lot about. David Pasternak,
right? Yeah.
You know, not Jewish, but he's in the All-Star game. As well as Sergei Bobrovsky, you know, very much Russian, not Jewish. But speaking of going back to, you know, a Swedish player, not Jewish, Oliver Bjorkstrand, a video of him went viral earlier this year. You know, a couple of weeks ago, his coach calls in and says, "You're nominated for the All-Star team. Like, it's your first All-Star. Congratulations." And you see, like, he thinks for a minute and he goes like, "I have to cancel my Airbnb." like he was planning on going somewhere and like had to cancel. So yeah, I think it's a vacation for those who aren't.
I do remember a while back I was on a family trip to Jamaica around this time of year, and it was during the NBA All-Star Weekend, and you just kept seeing like 6'9" guys walking along the beach. It was like, I wonder who that is. Like, I wonder what, like, you know, 10th man that is, because it was just like, it was like clearly that is an NBA player who is you know, on a break,
right, and is down here in Jamaica.
Yeah, it's like, why else would they be here that weekend? Anyways, that's exciting. I'm sure that's going to be a good time.
It's a pretty Jewish All-Star game. You know, the NHL has only had a handful of Jewish All-Stars ever, and to have 3, potentially 4, definitely 2, potentially 3, potentially 3, not Panarin because he's not playing in a game is pretty exciting.
Yeah,
it really is.
Sticking with hockey, I just wanted to put a little bumper roll on a story we talked about last time. It was just, you know, we're sort of recorded just before and just after this story has been developing, regressing, unfolding. The tournament was played. But this is the IIHF story about Israel hockey. So Ellen Besner, our colleague and who does the CGN Daily podcast, has been had a number of podcasts on this, including one we had on our feed last week or 2 weeks ago. Basically, the story was that the IIHF, the International Organization Committee for Amateur Hockey, or international hockey, I guess, because there's pros who play on these teams, but they banned Israel from any upcoming tournaments, including the under-20 men's Division III Group A tournament, which took place just this past week. Israel was planning to be in participation in that tournament, and a few days before the tournament was set to start, the IIHF caved to international pressure. I think there was a lot of pressure from the NHL, from lots of other people as well, and agreed to let Israel play in that tournament and in other tournaments as well. That was great for those players. I mean, you know, whatever, they just want to play hockey. That's a team that includes some Canadians, and Alan's been detailing that. But not only did Israel show up at that tournament, you know, even under these circumstances, they won. They won all their games. They beat Mexico, Bulgaria, New Zealand, Kyrgyzstan, Turkey. Okay, these are not powerhouses necessarily, but that's the division they're in. And as a result of that, when they're now moved up to the Division II Group B league.
Who are they playing against now? You know, Israel not officially.
Well, so that's the last thing I wanted to add, because this is a pretty exciting thing. So again, this is, you know, European teams this time, I would say, like, that are larger and have more of a hockey presence, and not as much. Australia, Belgium, Iceland, Serbia, and Spain.
Oh, that classic European team, Australia.
Okay, not Australia, but the other ones.
They're going up against the junior national Icelandic team.
Yeah.
That's the villains in the Mighty Ducks too.
Mighty Ducks, yeah, that's right. And we might even have a Goldberger too on our team. Or Israel's team.
And I would say, to make it an even more Jewish, Jewish story, the coach of Team Iceland, his Wolf Stanson, nicknamed the Dentist,
right?
Which not a Jewish player, but a Jewish profession that comes off his nickname.
Wolf Stanson. Anyways,
I believe that's a Jewish name.
Sure, why not? The thing I wanted to add about this is that next tournament, the U20 Division II Group B 2024-2025 championship, is going to be in Ottawa. It's in Ottawa starting on December 26th. And it runs until January 5th. And I think this is, like, again, if Israel wins those games, they have a shot to move up. So that is December 26th, of course, this year. I think is either the first or second night of Hanukkah. This is going to be a real Hanukkah tournament the whole way through. It's going to be in Ottawa. I mean, I personally, no disrespect, but I try to spend as little time in that city as I can. I assume there's nothing else to do there this time of year.
Then watch hockey. I don't know.
Then watch hockey.
The Elgin Street McDonald's still open? I don't know. Maybe some listeners could tell us that, because most nights at my experience in Ottawa wind up there.
I'm proposing this as an alternative to the Elgin Street McDonald's. If that's the best you can do, and obviously seeing family, friends, whatever. If you're back home for the holiday break or anything like that. I mean, it's Boxing Day. It's a classic junior hockey time.
Yeah.
But if you're in Ottawa for the Hanukkah break in next year, put it in your calendar right now. Go see Israel play. They will have a good shot of beating, Iceland and Australia and Belgium and Serbia and Spain. Like they're a good team now. Go see them play next Hanukkah in Ottawa. It is, the canal is not frozen yet. I assume that's the only thing to do there in the winter. So
yes,
this is better than that. And I think, being in Canada, being in a city with a large Jewish population, I think we could see a real, rallying support for Israel there. Again, there's nothing else to do during that week in Ottawa, but go see Israel at Division 2. Put it in your calendar. If you think you could be in Ottawa, if you have that misfortune, go see Israel play in Division 2.
Don't take half measures when it comes to home security. Alarms and cameras work, but they'll only tell you that your worst nightmare just came true. Safety Screen by Metalex for windows and doors will keep your family safe and sound with real stopping power. They can't be cut, pried, or bashed in, so you can enjoy carefree ventilation in the spring and fall with peace of mind. And protect your fixed windows and doors with Rock Glass, an absolutely unbreakable clear covering. Call 416-638-2539 or visit metalexsecurity.com to book your free consultation. That's METALEX security.com. Remember, prevention is always better than the cure.
Jamie, it's interesting you bring that up. 20 Israeli hockey players of various teams who have been brought to Canada sort of as an escape from the war and to play hockey and tour around and see some of hockey history, go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, et cetera, away from, what's going on in Israel right now. And one of the people who brought them over, who's been a former guest on our show, and Maccabi women's hockey gold medalist, Melissa Ronsberg.
And, it's really interesting the degree to which hockey has become this story that is like the most Canadian Jewish angle on everything. Is just like anything to do with Israel hockey. It's just like, no, there's Canadians been involved. We've talked to them about the formation of hockey in Israel. Canadians who have been involved throughout the world. If we have one great gift to the world, I think it has been the old cylinder
stick and puck
ball. The old stick and puck on ice. What's a good euphemism for hockey? Some things is just the old dump and chase. And,
what do we call the biscuit? The biscuit.
The old biscuit in the basket. Anyways, it's been great to see Canadians really take interest in this and be at the forefront of Israel and hockey. Moving on in a few other sports news items before we wrap up. Gabe, last Sunday was the NFC Championship. My beloved Detroit Lions, unfortunately, blew it. And I'm sad to say that a small part of that was a Jewish athlete, Anthony Ferkser, the 6th or 7th year tight end, who is a graduate of Harvard, Central Jersey, born and bred.
A Harvard man.
A Harvard man, that's right. Who was signed, to the practice squad from Detroit. I think he got into one regular season game and then was in all 3 playoff games. Got his first reception since 2022 near the goal line. Unfortunately, could not get it into the end zone. As a result, that led to the not excellent clock management that led to Detroit basically running out of time in the game.
Right.
If he had been able to get in, it would have given them more of a chance. Unfortunately, he just couldn't do it. So that was our only Jewish player who had a chance to make the Super Bowl. We had a long run for a while of Jews making the Super Bowl up until 2020 or 2021, but unfortunately haven't had one in a while. The Schwartz brothers no longer playing for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
So not a lot of Jewish rooting interest in the Super Bowl in terms of players, I guess.
If you remember last year,
Yeah.
And last year's Super Bowl, there was, the Kansas City Chiefs strength and conditioning coach Barry Rubin, who's a member of the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, as well as the, I think it's the Strength and Conditioning Coaches Hall of Fame. But he seems to no longer be with the team. Barry Rubin's not one of the coaches, so, we don't have him anymore to cheer for. So unfortunately, I mean, he was in Philadelphia and then followed Andy Reid forever. But Barry Rubin retired after last Super Bowl win, so he's not there this year. But, I think Barry's probably cheering for them from Boca or wherever he is now. What does a retired Jewish football coach do?
Look, there's a guy named Deuce Schwartz on the 49ers offensive quality control team. There's a guy named Max Moles, who's a coaching operation assistant. Again, I don't know if any of these guys are Jewish. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I always thought Matt Nagy sort of looked Jewish, but he's not.
Yeah, I think Nagy's like a Hungarian name. Anyways, my point is, if you're going to decide who to root for based on who the strength and conditioning coaches are, that's a weird choice, but you do you. And I think that's fine. So, I look forward to anyone digging in on whether any of the
we look for any possible
line coaches
Jew we can. No Jewish owners, unfortunately, for either team. The Hunt family are about as white bread American as they get.
And I guess the Yorks, who on the 49ers, I guess about the same. That's like a long time family. That's
they're both real old American good old boys. The Yorks and the Hunts, but while we don't necessarily see that in the Super Bowl, we do have a new Jewish owner in Major League Baseball.
Oh, okay. Who's that?
The Baltimore Orioles today. I think it's today. The Angelos family of Greek heritage have owned the Baltimore Orioles for my whole life. And in a weird sale, it'll happen after John Angelos dies, but he has sold the team now that upon his death, the transfer will go to a group led by David Rubenstein, founder of the Carlyle Group, one of the largest hedge funds in the world. But David Rubenstein is a notable Baltimore philanthropist and a very proud Jewish Baltimore philanthropist. In addition to all of his, spot in the halls of power, he's one of the main funders of the Washington, D.C. Holocaust Museum. So, it's we don't necessarily count how many Jewish owners there are in professional sports. That, keeping a number is a little bit, I don't know, I'm going to call it German. But knowing that there's one more is nice. It's another Jewish person who is being successful in our little area.
And the Baltimore Orioles have featured a number of Jews over the years, including, of course, Dean Kramer, most recently, who is one of a fundamental part of their starting rotation for years to come. So maybe we'll experience some Jewish Heritage Days at.
That's true. Now, it's true. Now I wonder, if we ever talk to Dean, we can ask him if he's going to walk into David's office and with a challah and say good Shabbos on a Friday night.
Gabe, before we sign off, any other Jewish sports news? Anything else going on in the Super Bowl this year? I did see. I wanted to mention, by the way, it is a CBS broadcast, so Tracy Wolfson will be the sideline reporter. That's
fabulous.
That's
so we can root for the media. Interest, but that's a good Jewish rooting interest. Rooting for the media.
Oh boy.
But speaking of believing Jews control the media, there's an organization, the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism, which is largely funded by NFL ownership legend Robert Kraft, and they've purchased a Super Bowl ad this year. You might have seen a number of ads about anti-Semitism. The one I can think of is like a father and his son are sitting in a truck in like middle America somewhere, and they pull up in front of a synagogue, and the father says to the son, like, I see what you post on the internet, son. Why don't you say it to these people? Right. And the son starts crying, and, they've been through enough, boy, is what Joe America says. So ads like that about, the commonplace anti-Semitism that Jews experience. We're going to get one during the Super Bowl, put together by or funded, I would say, by Robert Kraft, who's now also sort of in charge of March of the Living, right, which is part of his philanthropy. It's nice to see all these sports owners donating to Jewish causes.
Although Kraft in his coaching hire recently made a very un-Jewish choice of opting for Mayo.
I
should have picked a Coach Mustard.
Yeah, was Mustard
Coach
available?
Spicy Mustard on rye.
Was there no Coach Pastrami that he could have possibly hired?
Oh boy. No, that is exciting. I mean, I think anyone listening to this podcast who wasn't planning on watching the Super Bowl, now you have a reason to tune in because you can see a commercial.
People often watch the Super Bowls for the commercials. Now you get the Super Bowl for a commercial about anti-Semitism.
That's right. Well, I am excited for the Super Bowl. I'm excited for a spring of renewal. This is going to be the sports doldrums for a little bit, where there's just a little bit of basketball and hockey and not a whole lot going on until the baseball season starts up again.
I guess we could just follow the Oilers streak. I think they might never lose again.
Yeah, people thought they would only win one game, but then this streak has lasted for all of 16. A double Hanukkah,
streak
of Oilers wins. All right, this is a team that is, of course, named for those people in the temple.
Yeah, it's named. It is named for the oil of Hanukkah. That's man, how have we not tapped this rich vein of comedy before?
I don't know, but I'm sure we will.
The oil
like all our jokes, beat it to death.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if they get to 18, it's Zach Hyman's number.
That's true.
So if they have their
set the new record,
lucky
right?
18, they'd set the new record. That's only 2 more games, and they have them against Vegas, which is the first game back on Tuesday, who are very good. And then their 18th game would be against Anaheim, who are terrible.
Well, there you go.
But a lot of Jewish dreams have been made in LA. So those 2 nights of Anaheim to tie the record at 18, and then LA to break the record at 19. That would be a really spectacular, and it's on Lunar New Year, so it would really all be coming together for the people.
Nesgadol Hayaba Edmonton. We'll keep up the tabs on that, and and all the Jews participating in the All-Star Game this week. As always, we're brought to you by the Canadian Jewish News. You can find our podcast and everything else on the Canadian Jewish News website, thecjn.ca. Thanks to our producer, Michael Freeman. And thanks to you for listening. Please like and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and get all the Menschwarmers feed right into your devices.